Welcome to BIV Today, the daily podcast from the newsroom of business in Vancouver. I'm Kirk LaPointe, publisher and editor-in-chief. You know, if someone had told me about 3 months ago that the BC Lions would miss the playoffs and the Vancouver Whitecaps would make them, I probably would have bet the farm. The Whitecaps of Major League Soccer were mired at the back of the pack in their division for much of the year. Listless, pretty confused on the pitch, I felt. And they even lost a game to a Canadian Premier League team in Victoria. And that, it seems, was the last straw, but also a good inflection point for them, because out went the coach, in came a new coach. And well, suddenly the team built upon a streak of ties to start to build a streak of wins, a really formidable clutch of wins that took them up the standings to clinch a final game playoff position last Sunday. That's going to see them take on Sporting Kansas City on Saturday in the first round. And now the man who took over the team was its director of methodology, Vanni Sartini. And as a season ticket holder in the first couple of rows at center field, I can tell you the difference on the sidelines and on the field have been palpable. There's emotion, there's excitement, there's aggression, there's even some risk in the game. And I could talk to the coach about the game, I suppose, but I thought it makes most sense as a business publication to talk to him about management today. What are the keys to success in his view, and bringing a team back from really such depth to be now, I think, one of the most feared clubs in the league. So Vanni Sartini joins me now on the eve of the big game. He's in Kansas City. Great to see you.
Great to see you too, Kurt. Thanks for having me.
Good. I'm going to give up the pretense of impartiality for this. I've got my jersey on. I've got my scarf here. Got a scarf, and I've got even an Alphonso Davies autograph hat, which I thought that would make some sense for us. So I think I'm styling. I think I've got that going. Okay. All right. Oh, the hat's a little crooked.
You look fantastic.
Thank you. It's very well, coming from someone from Italy, Florence. All right. I think the hat just doesn't fit me. What's going on? Okay. Anyway, I want to get a sense. You've been a manager for a long time. You've managed in a couple of other cities. What do you like about this job?
A lot of things I like. The main things that I like of being coach is I really like the teaching part of my job. I like the fact that you really try to improve the players and the team and try to teach something new and create a vision that everyone is gonna follow, to be honest. And then the other thing that I like is that I think that soccer is probably the most collective of the team sports. So because I really believe, even in life, that you don't achieve anything by yourself. And if we compare a team with a community needs to try to work all together to an objective, and try to set a kind of rule, way of playing, and the way that the participants of this team they should interact in order to the common good. It's something that always excited me, and that's one of the aspect of my job that I like.
So, did you get that sense of collaboration or community or group work as a kid, or were you a bit of a loner, a bit of a standoff guy?
Well, I've never been a loner in my life. I've always been very extroverted, and I always been a guy that take energy from people and give energy to people. So I'm let's put it like this.
How would you define your values as a manager, Vanni?
Yeah, well, for me, the values is that I say it every time that the product, the way of playing, the team tactical principles are the leader, in my opinion. So what we try to do on the field should be the leader in our objective. So my value is that we need to work everywhere, give the 100% for the team. I really believe that it's not the sum of the individual, and the only way for the individual to flourish is to contribute to the team. So I think that what you say, the word that you say, word cooperation and collaboration are basically my value. And of course, on the other side, as the human side, it sounds cheesy maybe, but for me at the base of everything, it's love. If you don't love the game, if you don't love the people that you are work with, it's going to be really hard to lead those people.
Yeah. You put 11 on the field, but you've got lots of other players that have to be week by week at times disappointed that they can't get the time. So how do you, as a manager, deal with their emotions, keep them positive when they're not on the pitch at times?
Yeah, being honest and being as honest as I can. I say every time the relationship between coach and players is sometimes the relationship that when you have even between a father and a son, you don't, even if you like them and if you love them, you don't say yes to them every time. Sometimes you have to say no, and sometimes you have to do it for their good. So you have to be honest every time and say every time why they're not playing and which reason, which is the reason why. But also you need to be honest with the team. Not only and being honest with the team for me means also if you show me a training session that you're better than you deserve the spot, even if you are the rookie from first year from college and we have the big star that is not performing, you play, not the other guy. And the third thing for me is that because of that, we need to keep everyone involved. I started, I think, 22 different players in 14 games. Not used, started 22.
Yeah.
It's really not common in soccer. I believe that having a standard lineup, 11 guys that are doing every time, and then you keep it on the field just because they gave something to you before, it's not the right way to do. So even in every aspect of, even in every business or something, I think that after every project, that for us is a game, okay, the stance is going to 0 for everyone, and we'll see next week.
You were the director of methodology, and I think that's quite an interesting title, because it's not a title I've heard of very much in any professional sport. But you're a student of the game as well. You took a lot of education in the game. You've studied and studied and studied. Tell me a little bit, as a manager again, how much of the analytical side, the statistical side, the science side do you use? And then how much is also the eye test? The old eye test of just, what Vanni sees on the field and likes and dislikes.
When I did one of my numerous courses, one of my instructor in a coaching course, he told me a sentence that I really liked. Said that football is not science, but science can help a lot. So we need to use it. Now we have. I think that all the part that is kind of analytical, the statistics, what the video analyst can tell you, everything that can help you to make an educated decision, you need to take in account. Also because I think that the game is much more scientific than it appears, because it's all about space, it's all about numbers, creating numerical superiority, it's all about being on the right place at the right time. So everything needs to be done for me for the more scientific approach. Of course, you need to put all these kind of things, because now we live in an information society that, for example, for a soccer game or for a training session, I can have a report of 1,200 pages about everything, because you can really, I would say, analyze everything. Of course, you have to put everything into context, and putting everything into context is what you said before, the eye. But I would say before the eye, the brain. You need to have very clear, through this scientific approach, the way that you want to play, what you want to achieve as a product, and how you want to do it. And in this way, you can help also the people that are helping you in giving you information that are relevant.
So you can have all of this data in front of you, but you obviously need students to understand how to process that data. And you as a teacher have to minister this to them. How do you relay that week after week and give them a pretty good sense of what some of the keys to success are for them?
Yeah, the players are, we live in a, I would say, that's another point also about managing and leading, that it's not like 15, 20 years ago, because now we have players that are much more even educated on that sense. And and also on the other side, they're much more craving for individual attention. So I have a lot of individual meeting with the players, and my assistant too, they have a lot of individual meeting with the players that they go on specific numbers or specific video reference on specific things that we want to highlight to the player, because we have to make it as simple as we can for them. We have to make it as simple as we can in the sense that we don't have to tell them all the process about it, but if you are playing as a wing back and you made 0 crosses for 3 games in a row, maybe you need to do that's a number that you should hit. I was simplifying a lot, but something like that. And if you are when we map if you are a midfielder and your distance covered in the game is one of the lowest of the team, probably you didn't play a good game. I would say we always have to match the subjective with the objective. So the subjective is, this player played like 8 out of 10 this game, and then you see, let me see the data. If there's something that really highlight, and every time that he plays like an 8 out of 10, those data can relay some meaningful information. So I think that we need to keep it simple and matching the subjective and the objective every time.
Yeah, that's a good explanation. There is a saying in business that culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? It's one of those old sayings. So the importance of culture in all this, because you have strategy, of course, but how did you try to shift the culture?
It's hard. You don't shift the culture, in a day. So because the culture, first of all, I don't like those big these words and talking about the culture, because a lot of it we want to do this, we want to be this. I think that the culture is really built by actions, and the actions that you take as a coach and the actions that the players take as players, and all the stuff was everyone. So creating this culture of I would say in our, I would say, example of honesty with the players on all, and of I would say, we mean business when we're business, but we can have a laugh when we're on the pitch. The culture of the team is ahead of the individual. You do it only with action, and when someone doesn't apply those actions, he needs to be, I would say, called out. And I don't mean punished, but he needs to be educated to try to be better. Because I think that, and of course, if someone shows you that he doesn't understand or he doesn't want to understand, it can be a problem. But so far, I can give you, without telling names, I had a couple of problems at the beginning because players that were used to play in a different way, and it was completely different. And I had to have a fair amount of conversation with those players, and with this player in particular, and he clearly didn't understand. He clearly, not didn't understand. He didn't believe it.
Yeah.
What I had to do, I benched this player for a couple of games. He saw his teammates playing in this way and winning games, luckily. So that's a good thing, because you can reinforce your message. And then he came to me and say, "Coach, I was stupid. I'm all in now." And he started trying to do everything like we were trying to do. and now is a very important player for the team.
I mean, I think I might be able to guess who that player is, but let's just leave that aside for a second. But when you're dealing with that, Vanni, are you the good cop or are you the bad cop when you have to figure this out?
I am naturally the good cop in the sense that I'm here. I'm trying to explain. I always try to trying to put the emotion out of it and try to be as objective as I can. That's the reason why we can do it. And I say every time, and I don't want to say that I'm always right 100%, but that's my job now. My task here is to try to do this. And so I think that is the best way for the team to do it. And even if you don't see that is the best thing for yourself, you need to think that you need to best the team for the team first and then for you. So I'm usually the good cop, and what helps me a lot, to be honest, is the fact that when you assess yourself, you need to understand which are your strengths and which are your weaknesses, and even as your background. And in this way, you need to create a staff that is very good in things that maybe you perceive as your weakness. For me, one of my weaknesses is that I didn't play at the highest level. So when I say something to a player, when I say something to the group, maybe they can relate and say, oh, he's very good. He knows the tactics and everything. But then when I say something to the player, like it was with this player in question, say, yes, coach, but as a player, so I'm very lucky that I have Ricardo Clark in the staff that has been a top player. He played in the World Cup. He played for the American national team. So when he relays the same message that I do in this individual meeting, he can also go on the level player to player, and he can bring his experience to them, and it's very helpful.
You know, you in a lot of ways you were expected to turn the team around, right? The team was and you inherited the job. And what I wonder about is, how do you deal with a very delicate task in the middle of the season of somewhat distancing yourself from the previous way in which the team was run without turning it into kind of a personally degrading situation? How did you manage that?
I think it was one of the hardest part because I'm also very close with the previous staff. I'm a friend of them. So, but I wanted to do things differently. But also I didn't want to be perceived by the team like someone that, no, what you did so far for 7 months is all wrong. We do completely different. So that's the reason why, even tactically, if you can say, we played 14 games, I knew that I wanted to play with a back three. But the first 2 games, we still started with the back four because we had to put new elements little by little in a way that, I have to, I don't believe in shock therapy in anything. Okay. So I believe more that, let's put this thing, let's put these other things, let's put these other things. And luckily, the results went very good even from the beginning. So from the second week, I would say I consider the team to be really my team without my compromise. But for the first 2 weeks, I would say it was natural to compromise, to try to bring the team from the way that we were playing to a different way of the work that we wanted.
You inherited a team that was actually on a streak of ties. I mean, you seem to be tying endlessly, right? How important was it in those first 2, 3, 4 weeks to actually get some wins? Like, what did that help you do then with the rest of the season as a manager?
It helped me to do a lot in the sense that it helped the player buying even things that didn't. I moved players from different position. I started players that didn't start before. It helped the group to really buy the thing that I was trying to sell them, and it gave them probably a little more of trust in what we were trying to do as a staff, and that has been critical because even we reach a point at some point that even we went to Seattle, for example, after 4 or 5 games, we lost 4-1. But we bounced it back immediately because we were already past the moment where I had to gain their trust. I already did it. If that game would have been game number 2, game number 3, would have been much harder, I think.
Yeah. I mean, during COVID, all the Canadian-based teams have had so many challenges because they've largely spent their times outside of their homes, right? Like away from their home cities.
Yeah.
Again, how meaningful was it in terms of your overall momentum and your ability as a manager in terms of just the structure that you've got around you in the city of Vancouver to get them back to town to finish?
I think that besides the change of the manager, the player, that, well, even more than that, I think it was the number one thing, getting back home. Getting back home, living a normal life, living in your city, living in the city where your family is, because most of the players, they had to live away from the family, living like a real football club in our locker room, in our training center, having the possibility to be really at home. And of course, then on top of that, you add the fact that after 18 months, we had our fans back to push us. And, you say that you're a ticket holder. So the atmosphere of the last game against Seattle was amazing.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. When we beat Dallas, when Maxime saved the penalty at the last minute,
right.
I think that if the game is in Salt Lake, Maxime doesn't save the penalty. That's simple. That's because it's being at home and having people that cheer for you, that care about you around you. It makes you work better.
Yeah, you guys had the largest crowd of any crowd in British Columbia during the entire pandemic. The last couple of weeks. So a couple of last things. What have you learned about yourself in the last 14 games?
I learned that, that's a beautiful question. I learned that I got better at getting advice than I was before. When I was a young coach, I was the one that if someone told me something, yeah, no, but I'm the one in charge. I want to do it. I learned that I need to have, I would say, advice from other people, and you to think about it. Of course, at the end you take the decision, but when in the room we are like basically 6-7 person in the technical staff. If you are convinced of one thing, but 5 person are convinced of the opposite, probably you need to think, you need to listen to the other 5 people, because if not, why do you have them in your staff? Yeah. So that's what I learned, and a couple of decisions that has been very good. I have to thank my staff because they brought me on the right path.
Yeah. Do you admit vulnerability or indecision or uncertainty with the team, or can you do that in a professional situation?
Well, you can, in the sense that again, it's all about, for me, it's all about having the trust of the player in the sense that you're competent. I am very, I would say, so I can even result cocky. I know that on the field, there's very few people that are better than me at my job and being a coach. So I always knew that, and I know, and I'm so focused at that sometimes when in this way you gain so much strength, and you're perceived also by your players with someone who knows what he's doing, that you can even show the fact that you are I would say indecisive sometimes, and you maybe can ask for advice because you do it not because you don't know what to do, but because you're really, I would say, going very deep on the thing that you do.
Right. You can see, as I said at the beginning of our discussion, the emotion on the sidelines with you, right? You don't hide a whole lot of it. But how do you also make sure that your players don't have their emotions come out sideways? Because this is a game that you can get yellow and red cards for doing some things that, are in the game of hockey, would be considered just whatever. But, you can end up with some pretty serious damage if your emotions come out sideways out there. How do you channel that and tell the players, keep yourself dialed back a little bit?
Yeah. I think the first thing is that you need to be always focused in the game. When you see myself so excited and everything, for me, that's the way to be focused. Because if I would act like, those pensive coach like this, I would probably space out from the game. So that's the way for me to be focused and to understand if someone needs to stay calm, or someone needs even if we need a change. That's the thing. The second thing is that during the game, the players are very zoned in the game. So I don't think that the player see too much what I'm doing in the game. They talk with me so that they're good. And the third thing is that what I said before, we are so focused on the task in every training. Even today, the last training before the game, we went over again all the tactical thing, and we really tried to create with our action this culture of what you did in the last play doesn't count. The next play is the one. The next play is the one. The next play is the one. And don't get lost in the big picture when you're playing, because when you're playing is always the next minute that is the more important. So it's that being focused and zoned on the task help a lot on not getting crazy, I would say sometimes.
Okay, so this is not a trick question, but it may come across as a bit unfair. But can you even see now that even if you're not going to win, that this has been a victory of a season for this team?
I think that the season has been very good. Getting to playoff after 4 years, and we were last in the standings at half of the season. So in any case, how the season goes tomorrow, the season is positive. The thing is that we are at the prom, we want to dance. So let's make the season memorable. So that's actually the atmosphere that we have here. We want to make something big, but we know that in any case that goes tomorrow, of course, it's a major improvement on where we were a few months ago, and we build to do something better next year.
I'll ask you a tougher question. I mean, when you were appointed, you were referred to as an interim coach, interim replacement. It was all had this kind of temporary feel about it. Now that you have a taste of it, now that you've succeeded as a team with it, you want to keep the job?
I won't. But at the end, it's like it's more a title for the, I would say, journalist or media or whatever. Because I've been in this business for a lot of time now, and I know that the coach per se is an interim job, because even if the only thing that changed, and that's the reason why I also want the job, is your contract. So that's the only because I can be appointed maybe the head coach tomorrow, and then next year I lose 7 games in a row and they fire me. So that's
it is a job that you're hired to be fired in, right?
Yeah. So it's
okay. All right. Well, look. Last important question. Have you watched Ted Lasso?
I watched Ted Lasso. Yeah, I like Ted Lasso.
You like it? Was okay?
I like the show. I think it's very unrealistic, the football part, but I liked a lot the show. Yeah. Yeah,
the on-field play didn't look all that authentic to me.
The football part is unrealistic, and a lot of things are unrealistic. But I like the show. I like Ted Lasso as a character. So
exactly. I was going to ask about that. I mean, is there anything about Ted Lasso as a character that you see in yourself?
Yes. Yeah, to be honest, yes. I'm really happy that they use the soccer coach to promote a character that is the hero, but what he wants is to get along with people and to improve people, and not this kind of I know it all, I do it all, and I am the, I don't know, kind of beautiful and a bit dark person. No. So I really like the fact that the titular character of a very big series is a person that tries to make the people around you better, because the people make him better. So it's and I'm happy that they chose the soccer coach as a profession, because to be honest, that's the way that I approach my coach.
Yeah. Wonder what's going to happen in that third season.
Yeah, I don't know. There's gonna be this him and Nate. Great. Yeah. That's the reason. That's the reason why I'm very focused on see what my kid manager Marty is doing, because if he becomes a coach too, maybe.
Yeah, you got him under your wing. Well, look, it's great talking to you. Thanks so much for taking the time on the eve of this so important game. Everybody is rooting for you back here in Vancouver, right across British Columbia, pretty well across Canada, because let's face it, you're the only people standing. And so you're representing the country. But thanks a lot for your time today, Vanni, and we'll see you again on the other side, I hope.
Okay, fantastic. Bye.
Take care. I'm Kirk LaPointe, publisher and editor-in-chief of BIV. Thanks a lot for watching.